I never imagined the man who saved my career would be the same one trying to steal my daughter. Sarah Mitchell's voice trembled with a mix of fear and fierce defiance as she stared out the rain-streaked window of her cramped apartment. The walls around her seemed to close in heavy with the weight of secrets, betrayals, and impossible choices. Every heartbeat echoed the pounding question in her mind: how far would she go to protect Lily from a man who wielded power like a weapon? The streets outside blurred into a haze as memories of that fateful phone call, the ruthless corporate chess game, and the battle for her daughter's soul crashed over her. The storm inside Sarah was nothing compared to the storm gathering beyond the glass, a storm that promised to shatter everything she had fought for. Stay with me, because what happens next will change everything you think you know about love, sacrifice, and survival. You won't believe the twists waiting just around the corner. Sarah Mitchell pressed her palms flat against the worn edges of the headset, feeling the faint tremor of exhaustion pulse through her hands. At 42, the weight of years working the hotline at Davidson International was etched into the lines on her face and the tightness in her shoulders. But she couldn't afford to stop, not when every penny mattered to keep her daughter Lily's future afloat. Each day, she answered calls for billion-dollar deals connecting powerful investors with the company's elite, yet outside those glass walls, Sarah's life was worlds apart from the wealth she bridged. In the cramped Brooklyn apartment she shared with Lily, the walls whispered stories of struggle and resilience. School supplies were rationed carefully. Tutoring sessions were a luxury Sarah scraped together hours and dollars to afford. But the promise of a better tomorrow was etched deep in Lily's bright eyes, and that was enough to fuel Sarah's relentless grind. That mid-morning sunlight poured through the window of the call center in Manhattan, casting long, sharp shadows on the rows of desks. The city buzzed below, honking taxis, chattering crowds, the distant hum of a metropolis that never slept. Sarah took a breath, steadied herself, and answered call after call, her voice calm but resolute. Every word mattered. Then, just as the clock edged toward noon, an unexpected crackle of static ripped through the headset. The lights flickered, and suddenly the regular phone lines went dead. Only one line remained active, the red phone, a private, encrypted hotline reserved exclusively for Davidson International's most important clients. The kind of calls that could sway fortunes and topple empires. Sarah's heart thundered in her chest. The red phone was sacred territory. No one but the top executives or authorized personnel ever touched it. She glanced around. The office was eerily quiet. Her co-workers had scattered for lunch, and the CEO, Michael Anderson, was deep in meetings. She knew the risk if she answered it might cost her the job she clung to. Before she could reach to block the call, she heard the soft footsteps approaching. Lily stepped into the office, her small backpack dangling from one shoulder, her dark curls bouncing as she looked around with wide, curious eyes. "Mom's school let out early," she whispered. "The water pipe burst and Miss Wilson said I could come see you." Sarah's stomach twisted. "Lily, you shouldn't be here. It's not safe." She lowered her voice. "Stay in the break room until I'm done, okay?" But Lily's curiosity got the better of her. Eyes flicking toward the glowing red phone, she quietly crept over and lifted the receiver. Sarah's breath hitched in terror. "Davidson International. How may I help you?" Lily said clearly, her voice steady and surprisingly professional. Sarah froze, unable to move as the impossible unfolded before her. Lily switched effortlessly into fluent Arabic, handling the conversation with such confidence it was as if she had been trained for this moment her whole life. From the shadows of the conference room, Michael Anderson burst forth, his sharp gaze locking onto the child on his private line. His face flushed with a mix of fury and disbelief. "Who the hell gave you that phone?" he barked. Lily didn't flinch. Instead, she nodded politely and continued to take detailed notes, expertly juggling languages as she spoke. English, Arabic, French, all with a precision that stole the breath from the room. Michael's anger wavered, then melted into stunned silence. Sarah stepped forward, her voice shaking but determined. "I taught her. Before I took this job, I was a linguistics specialist, 7 languages fluent. When Lily was born, I promised she would have the education I never did." The room fell into a heavy silence. Michael's eyes searched Sarah's face, seeing not a low-level employee, but a mother who had built a fortress of hope around her daughter. "You saved a $866 million deal," Michael finally said, voice low and rough. You're not just an employee. You're an asset I didn't know I had. Sarah's mind raced. A promotion, a chance at stability. But at what price? As the afternoon sun dipped, Sarah sat across from Michael in his towering office, the city's skyline glittering behind him like a promise and a threat. Her fingers twitched nervously. She knew the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Accepting meant stepping into a world of power she'd never dared approach. Declining could mean losing everything. Lily, sitting quietly nearby with her beloved worn backpack, looked up and smiled. Mama, I want to help more. I want to do whatever I can. Sarah's heart clenched. The fierce love for her daughter clashed with the fear of what the future might demand. Could she shield Lily from a life of expectations and control? Or was the fight for a better life worth every sacrifice? Michael's voice cut through her turmoil. I want you on my team, Sarah. Starting now. You'll have resources, respect, and a salary worthy of your talent. The weight of his offer pressed on Sarah like the city's towering skyscrapers outside. This was no simple promotion. It was a crossroads. As night fell and the city's lights flickered on, Sarah stared out her apartment window, her thoughts a storm of hope, fear, and fierce determination. The gamble she was about to take might change everything or shatter the fragile world she had built for Lily. This is just the beginning of Sarah and Lily's journey, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of a dream against all odds. Thank you so much for staying with me through this part. I know it's a lot to process, and I appreciate your patience as we dive deeper into their world. Before we continue, I want to ask you, if you were Sarah standing at this crossroads between security and risk, would you take the chance for a better life or hold tight to what you have? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. If this story touched you, please take a moment to like and support it. Your encouragement helps bring more stories like this to life. The weeks that followed the phone call changed everything for Sarah Mitchell and her daughter Lily. What once was a struggle to simply survive transformed into a whirlwind of high stakes and daunting expectations. Sarah, now Michael Anderson's newly appointed Director of Multilingual Communications, found herself navigating a world where every decision carried the weight of not just her career, but her family's future. At Crestwood Academy, Lily's new school nestled in an affluent Manhattan neighborhood, the halls gleamed with polished marble and whispered secrets of generations of privilege. But despite the beauty and prestige, Lily felt every inch an outsider. Her second-hand clothes marked her instantly, and whispers followed her down the corridors like shadows. Classmates whispered about her odd shoes and unusual fluency in languages they'd barely heard of. Teachers who should have nurtured her talents instead seemed wary of the bright child who dared to correct their pronunciations or answer questions too quickly. Sarah felt her stomach knot every time Lily came home with a story of exclusion or silent sneers. It wasn't just the bullying, it was the subtle, suffocating walls built to keep Lily in her place. Yet Sarah's resolve only hardened. She would fight this world tooth and nail. But the most challenging battle lay not outside the walls of Crestwood, but within the towering glass skyscraper where Michael Anderson ruled. His interest in Sarah and Lily quickly grew beyond mere admiration. Michael was a man accustomed to control not just of boardrooms and bank accounts, but of people's destinies. Sarah sensed the tightening noose when Michael began setting conditions on her new role. Flexible hours, yes, he said, his gaze piercing. But Lily's education and your availability must align with our company's interests. We're investing in you both. That investment comes with expectations. One afternoon, as Sarah sat in her office grappling with a translation of a complex Middle Eastern investment dossier, a sleek black box was delivered, a gift from Michael for Lily. Wrapped in satin, it was a beautiful music box, etched with delicate patterns that shimmered under the office light. When Lily opened it at home, the familiar tune began, but soon it transformed. The soft melody gave way to a recording of Lily speaking in her 7 languages flawlessly and fluidly. Sarah's breath caught. This wasn't just a music box, it was a surveillance device. The realization slammed into Sarah like a tidal wave. Michael wasn't just offering opportunity, he was monitoring her daughter, using her, controlling her. That night, Sarah lay awake, wrestling with a tempest of anger, fear, and helplessness. How far would Michael go? How much of Lily's innocence was he willing to steal in the name of potential? Her mind flashed to Lily's wide eyes full of hope and trust. Protecting that trust became Sarah's fierce new mission. It was then that Adam Bennett entered their lives, a partner in the company known for his empathy and quiet strength. Unlike Michael's cold ambition, Adam's support came with no strings attached. "We see what's happening," Adam told Sarah during a discreet meeting in a downtown cafe. "There's a way out, a way to protect Lily without sacrificing her future. But it won't be easy." Sarah clung to Adam's words like a lifeline. Together they began crafting a plan, threading through the shadows of power and influence. Meanwhile, Lily, aware in her own way of the invisible chains tightening around her, became more guarded. Yet beneath her young exterior burned a fierce desire to live free, to be more than a pawn in a corporate game. One evening, Sarah found Lily quietly practicing Japanese, a language they had begun to explore in secret. "Why Japanese?" Sarah asked softly. Lily looked up, determination shining. "Because if they want to control me, I'll learn to speak in ways they don't expect. I won't be trapped." Sarah's heart broke and swelled with pride all at once. Days turned into weeks. Michael's pressure intensified his presence, more imposing, his demands more insistent. Sarah felt the lines between work and home blur as she fought to keep her family whole. Legal papers began to surface. Custody arrangements hinted at whispers of Emma's biological father stepping back into the picture, encouraged by Michael's machinations. The looming threat of losing Lily haunted Sarah like a shadow she couldn't escape. One afternoon, after a particularly brutal confrontation with a Crestwood administrator who questioned Lily's place at the school, Sarah's world shattered. Lily had brought the music box to show and tell a proud moment that quickly turned sour. The headmistress confiscated the box, accusing them of violating privacy laws, and hinted at serious repercussions. Sarah's protective instincts ignited. She stormed into the school office, voice steady but fierce. "My daughter is brilliant, not a threat. You can't silence her like this." The confrontation sent ripples through the school's polished halls and beyond. It was clear that for Lily to thrive, Sarah would have to fight not just for her education, but for her dignity and freedom. That night, as rain beat against the windows, Sarah called Adam. "They're tightening their grip. Michael's using every tool, legal, financial, emotional, to bend us to his will. I don't know how much longer we can hold." Adam's reply was calm but resolute. "Then it's time to make a choice. Stay and fight on their terms, or find a way out before they break us." Sarah stared into the darkness, the weight of impossible decisions pressing down. The stakes were higher than ever: the safety of her daughter, the integrity of their bond, the promise of a future free from control. The fight was far from over, and the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. But Sarah knew one thing with crystal clarity: she would never let Michael Anderson dictate their fate. Thank you for bearing with me through this intense part of Sarah and Lily's journey. I understand it's a lot to take in, and I'm grateful for your patience. Now I'd like to ask you, if you were Sarah, caught between an oppressive force and the safety of your child, how far would you go to protect your family? Would you stay and fight, or would you risk everything to escape? Please share your thoughts below. If this story resonates with you, don't forget to like and support. It means so much and helps bring these stories to life. The day the custody papers arrived, Sarah Mitchell felt the air leave her lungs. Sitting at her kitchen table, the weight of the legal documents was crushing an attempt to strip her of the daughter she had protected fiercely for 8 years. Michael Anderson's influence had reached far beyond the gleaming towers of Davidson International. It had infiltrated the courts, the lives of people Sarah had tried to keep at bay. Professor David Harper, Lily's biological father, now a respected linguistics dean at a prestigious university, was the weapon Michael wielded with precision. His carefully crafted petition painted Sarah as unfit a barrier to Lily's potential greatness. The court would not only decide custody, it would decide Lily's fate. That night, Sarah sat alone in the dim light of their London flat, the city's distant hum a soft contrast to the turmoil inside her. Lily was asleep in the next room, the rhythmic sound of her breathing a balm to Sarah's frayed nerves. But sleep eluded Sarah. Her mind raced with scenarios, the loss, the separation, the endless what-ifs that gnawed at her resolve. How could she fight a man like Michael Anderson, a titan whose power and wealth were nearly limitless? And how could she shield Lily from the cold hands of a father who had once abandoned them both? The morning brought no answers, only more challenges. Olivia Anderson, Michael's daughter, appeared unexpectedly. A woman in her early 30s with an air of quiet strength and sorrow, Olivia was unlike her father. She had seen the cost of ambition firsthand and understood the chains it forged. "You're stronger than you realize," Olivia told Sarah during a private meeting. "My father, he's not just a businessman. He's a man haunted by his own past, desperate to control a legacy he fears slipping away." Olivia's support was tentative but genuine. She offered a way to unravel Michael's grip from within, exposing the web of control he had spun around gifted children through his controversial educational programs. Meanwhile, Sarah and Adam Bennett, her steadfast ally, worked tirelessly to build a foundation rooted in compassion and respect. The Mitchell Method was born, a revolutionary approach to nurturing exceptional children without sacrificing family bonds. This method emphasized love as the catalyst for learning, a direct challenge to the cold transactional model Michael championed. In the courtroom, the battle was brutal. Michael's legal team wielded evidence of Sarah's financial struggles and the chaotic past she fought to leave behind. But Sarah's lawyer highlighted the true strength behind Lily's brilliance, the unwavering love and sacrifice of her mother. Lily's voice, once a whisper in the shadows, became a beacon. At a hearing, she spoke with a maturity beyond her years, describing her mother as the heart of my world and the reason she could dream. The judge's ruling was a victory, temporary, but hard-fought, allowing Sarah to retain custody while the case continued. It was a reprieve, not a conclusion. Determined to protect their freedom, Sarah and Lily made a life-altering decision. With Olivia and Adam's help, they fled New York, landing in London, a city that promised refuge and new possibilities. Sterling International School welcomed Lily into a world of diversity and acceptance, a stark contrast to Crestwood's rigid walls. Here, Lily's languages were celebrated, her talents nurtured. The laughter and friendships she formed healed wounds Sarah feared might never close. Sarah's work with the Linguistic Heritage Foundation grew her expertise, shaping programs that honored both intellect and heart. The scars from the past remained, but they fueled her passion for change. Years passed. Lily's name became synonymous with brilliance and resilience. Fluent in more than a dozen languages, she emerged as a young ambassador for cultural exchange, a living testament to the power of love and freedom. One spring afternoon, Sarah watched Lily stand before an international audience, her voice strong, her message clear. True greatness is born from choice, not control. From love, not fear. Tears blurred Sarah's vision as she realized the journey had come full circle. The fight had been long and hard, but it had forged a bond unbreakable by power or wealth. Michael Anderson's empire faltered in the wake of exposed truths and shifting allegiances. Olivia's efforts to reform the educational programs they once controlled brought hope to countless families. Sarah's Mitchell Method inspired a generation, proving that nurturing gifted children with love and freedom could change the world. As the conference ended and applause filled the hall, Sarah felt a peace she had never known. The legacy she and Lily built was not one of wealth or influence, but of courage, hope, and unconditional love. Thank you for staying with me through this powerful conclusion to Sarah and Lily's story. I hope their journey touched your heart and reminded you of the strength that lies in love and resilience. Before we end, I have 2 questions for you. If you were in Sarah's place, would you have risked everything to protect your child's freedom? And what does this story make you believe about the power of a mother's love? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved the story, comment with number 3. If you didn't quite connect, comment 1. And if it was just okay, comment 2. Also, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and support the video. It means so much and helps bring more heartfelt stories like this to life.